Brigid Chase tipping the scales at 145.5 pounds, 145 flat for Molinari. Brigid Chase a little bit more tread on the tires with a record of 5-2. Molinari to make her debut right now with Garrett Fertig.
Borroka Promotions now presents our featured bout in the featherweight division, presented by GetBiofuel.com, set for 3 5-minute rounds. Introducing first, the blue corner, standing 5'5", her official weight 145.5 pounds, currently on a 2-fight win streak with a professional record of 5 wins, 2 losses, 3 of her 5 wins coming by submission. She represents Indio Dojo from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Please welcome Brigid Chase II. And now introduce her opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. At 5'7", her official weight 146 pounds, this freestyle wrestler is a 3-time Pan American Champions gold medalist and a 2021 World Championships bronze medalist. Tonight, she makes her professional MMA debut. Representing the lab from Benicia, California, she fights out of Tempe, Arizona, Forrest, the Bear Molinari. Your referee, Chris Tione.
Monumental moment for Forrest Molinari in the red gloves. Pittsburgh's Brigid Chase challenges in the blue. This featherweight bout is brought to you by Rebel Gas Station. Your store, your way. Find the nearest Rebel gas station at rebelstores.com.
Brigid Chase with the bow and arrow has not taken her eyes off of Forrest in that pre-warm-up, and here we go. All the action real close.
Chase likes to fly out of the floodgates. Forrest Molinari, a part of the camp of Chris Cyborg, who fought for a world championship just last month. Chase is having a little bit of success upstairs already, Schmo, but initiating into the A game is Forrest Molinari, clinched up against the cage.
And here we go. Let's see where this takes us right here, as Forrest is certainly going to find a way to bring this fight to the mats where she's most comfortable.
It was reported in June that Forrest Molinari was going to jump into the deep end and make her pro MMA debut at some point this year. November at Borroka Promotions 1 is where it takes place. And high praises from all of the coaching staff over at the MMA lab in Phoenix, Arizona for Forrest Molinari. But Brigid Chase holding her own right now, Schmo.
Doing good. She just took a pipe of a right hand right down the middle from Forrest right there, but I like the pressure that Forrest is putting on right now. But Brigid, fast hands early, as you can see.
Typically likes to start that way in her fights. And like you mentioned, Schmo, a 7-time karate world champion over at the National Black Belt League. Been training since she was 5 years old. But a rough knee up the middle lands for Molinari as they separate back to the center of the cage.
Molinari doing some level changes right now of her own, trying to close the distance, trying to gain the respect of her opponent on the feet so she can obviously look for that takedown. Good right hand lands from Molinari down the pipe.
Pumping out some more punches is Brigid Chase.
But as she's throwing those punches, she's on her back foot retreating.
Molinari bullying upstairs and now once again gets to the clinch.
Good sweep to take her down, the first takedown of the evening for Forrest Molinari.
Molinari sprinkled in a short knee on the other side, but now searching for possibly a head and arm. Certainly what her corner is calling for, listening to him well. But in the guard of Chase at the moment, unable to necessarily string anything together at the moment. Going to need a little bit of transition, Schmo.
And Chase doing a good job right now, not just fighting hands, but trying to use her hips to level up.
Couple of punishing blows, draws a reaction from Chase, who sits up and hugs over the back of the neck of Molinari.
Molinari doing a good job staying heavy, now landing some elbows from top position right there. Short hands right there.
Some sledgehammers from Molinari, but Chase now trying to cinch up potentially an armbar, a tough spot in terms of real estate to pull it off. Molinari also privy to it, but it might be tight, Schmo. Hard to see from this angle.
Very, very difficult to see from our vantage point right now, but it does seem to be that arm is trapped.
Chase, a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, 3 professional wins by submission, most recently in June of 2023.
Free now as she lands these short elbows from the top.
Right back to potentially that head and arm. Molinari's
corner asking for her to take the back and landing more of those elbows.
Forcing pressure right up against the fence is Molinari. Taioni talking a bit to the 2 featherweights. An uncomfortable pressure by Molinari, making it messy right now, Schmo, as you saw that forearm was digging deep into the neck up against the fence.
Just so much pressure that she's putting on her opponent right now, smothering her, suffocating her, not giving Brigid space to operate here and be offensive.
So Forrest Molinari seems to have some swagger to her here in round 1, getting a talking to with Chris Taioni. Unsure of what that might be about, but nonetheless, Forrest Molinari quite successful here in round 1, but Brigid Chase also in this fight.
Here we go. We look at the replay. Fiery exchanges right there. Landing from both sides right there, but Molinari forcing Brigid on her back foot against the cage, landing punches and bunches, able to get the underhooks, sweep her down, and then just raining short hammer fists from the top, leaving her mark.
Part of the scouting report for Brigid Chase was a steady output of strikes. We saw that when she wasn't bogged down by the offense of Molinari. But interested to see how round 2 fares for the Phoenix fighter. Top of round 2 of a potential 3 here. Next to main and co-main event in the queue here at Borroka Promotions 1, but Molinari lays out a couple of jabs to open up the exchanges of round 2.
Good jabs from her too. Very short at the beginning right there, but good head kick right there from Brigid Chase.
Molinari felt some of that Chase pressure and immediately closes in the distance.
Just dumped her. Look too easy right there. Just now she's smothering her, putting the pressure on top. Trapping that right arm right now with that knee so she can rain more elbows and short hammer fists from the top.
Molinari mauling right now early in round 2.
That's exactly what she wanted to do. She said she wanted to maul Brigid, her opponent.
Chase searching once again for that armbar, but Molinari's pressure might be too much, continuing to widen the gap.
She says she studies some of her favorite fighters, John Jones, Khabib, and DC. We're certainly getting a mix of what top control from Forrest Molinari looks like with the inspiration of those 3 legends.
Molinari, couple of more short punches as Chase still well within it. But plenty of offensive output for Molinari.
Staying heavy with those hips as she's looking for those short elbows and hammer fists.
Molinari now targets once again the head and arm, possibly fixated on a finish here. Both knees are out of the guard of Chase, but we get a thumbs up from her.
Yeah, that's right. She's working against the real estate of the cage right here. Now she's able to pull that knee through to be on full mount right here. A lot of options right there. She's squeezing underneath that chin.
Going through the gears is Molinari, quite compromised, but Brigid Chase not showing it whatsoever, as tough as can be.
Team asking for those elbows right now. She's in full mount, working on the offense, raining down thunderous blows. Brigid Chase trying to wiggle her way out of it.
Chase able to get back to a guard position. Not necessarily where she wants to be, but better from where she was at with Molinari in that full mount just about 20 seconds ago.
Good job working her way back to the feet. But Molinari has got a good grip underneath the chin with that left arm.
Molinari puts a knee up the gut, continuing to drape her weight over the Pittsburgh fighter. And still plenty of time to work, Schmo. Over 90 seconds here in round two as Molinari continues to dominate this second frame.
Just smothering with her output.
Brigid Chase still a pep in her step. She throws a head kick and then invests in the body.
Yeah, and if I'm Brigid, I'm just doing what I can to get space to operate offense, but just another takedown by Molinari.
And Forrest that time thought about possibly going into the half guard, but steps her way fully over to mount. And now moving over to that other side. Once again, we go to the submission attempt. Head and arm this time. Still a thumbs up from Brigid Chase.
That's right. 50 seconds left to go. Thumbs up by Brigid Chase right here in the submission champ with an arm triangle choke. Doing what she can to wiggle over. Giving up her back now. Raining short hammer fists from this position is Forrest Molinari.
Back down to the canvas is Chase. Molinari. A lot of offense here in round two. But Brigid Chase still as durable as can be, as Forrest Molinari seems to have swelled to a favorite, Schmo.
That's right. Molinari having her way through 2 rounds, taking her down, landing short elbows, landing strikes from top position, doing whatever she can to, as she mentioned before the show, maul her opponent.
And we see these replays here, Schmo. What do you think has been the epicenter of Forrest's effectiveness, specifically in round two? Because round one was a little bit more competitive, but that round two, all Molinari through 5 minutes.
I just think she's wearing her down. As you can see, the takedowns in this round were a lot easier than what she was able to land in the first round. She's been able to have a threat standing, and that's allowed her to close the distance and just take down Brigid. And when she gets Brigid, she's able to land in the clinch. She's able to short elbows, do what she wants offensively. She's got all the confidence in the world right now.
Brigid Chase been to the decision twice in June of this year as well as November of 2022. Again, a quick talking to with the doctor, but seems to get the thumb up from them. Third and final round is upon us between these two at 145 pounds. And Schmo, it's interesting because Forrest Molinari, she has been in some of the biggest moments in combat sports at large, but never been to a third round of an MMA bout. You got to wonder what she's thinking going into this final frame.
Not only never been to a third round, she doesn't have the amateur fight. She just has the wrestling experience.
Right.
So that's what she's relying on. And she's fought at the biggest stages in wrestling. But I just love how poised she is. Cool, calm, and collected. Another day in the office, but a good jab right there from Brigid Chase, doing whatever she can to earn respect and to keep the distance so Forrest Molinari doesn't just walk her down and take her down like she did in the first 2 rounds.
That poise, composure is one thing that their coaches were talking to me about, something that separates her from so many beginners. A lot of things separate her from beginners, given the fact that she is bringing the fight to a 7-fight veteran, and once again, Matt's Brigid Chase.
She's suffocating with how she closes the distance and lands those short combinations, and then she just level changes and she's able to secure the takedown. And now Brigid's on her back for the 3rd round in a row.
Forrest Molinari 4 for 4 on takedowns, 1 in round 3, 2 in round 2, as well as 1 in round 1. Might be where they spend the next 4 minutes or so.
And looking at the striking battle, doubled her opponent and strikes thrown.
178 thrown, 132 landed to Chase's 25 landed and 66 thrown. Also, about 45 seconds of control time here in round 3 already for the stout wrestler. Strong grappling, as expected, out of Forrest Molinari. But Schmo, I've also been very, very surprised and impressed, I should say, with the striking of Molinari, given that she really began training MMA back in June. I know she did dabble a little bit in the past, but for the most part, it started this summer.
Absolutely, you got to be impressed because she hasn't been afraid to let her hands go. She's been closing the distance, throwing combinations, and again, you're facing somebody who's had 7 professional fights and fought a lot of good competition.
And not only that, but a 4-2 amateur, a 5-2 pro. This isn't someone who has a 500 record over the past 10 years. This is Brigid Chase, who's one of the best fighters out of Pittsburgh.
You can totally understand why 15 girls turned down Forrest before Brigid finally said yes. It's going to be hard for her to find opponents early on in her career when she's able to make an output like this.
Nearly 2 minutes now of control time for the 4-time gold medalist in the Pan American Wrestling Championships. So many people excited to see what Forrest Molinari could pull off in the pro debut. So far, showing off all of it as she lands another takedown for 5-5 here in this pro debut.
Just 32 strikes landed so far to only 7 from Brigid in this round. And we got 1:45 seconds left to go, and she's in the catbird seat. On top of Brigid again, this time putting a knee to the face. And now she's able to land elbows to the body. Right here, she works from side control.
Forrest Molinari posting a grueling pace here with 90 seconds left.
Good up kick, though, right there from Brigid Chase. But towards the end of the fight, maybe a little too late.
Going to be tough. Forrest Molinari been playing her game so far in the pro debut. She was special on the wrestling mats. She started at 14 years old, and now at 29 has done so much in that sport, now transitions with so much hype behind her. Cannot wait to see what the future holds, Schmo. But again, at 29 years old, and what she's been able to do here in the pro debut, might be tough for her to find more fights. Now that there's tape on her.
There's tape on her finally in mixed martial arts. She's dangerous. It's going to be hard to find fights for her, just based off of the success that she's had. And this being her first professional fight.
Just hearing from the corner, Forrest Molinari, they do want the finish, calling for the choke. Might be tough given the sound defense of Brigid Chase. 10-second clapper goes.
Been survival mode from Brigid Chase, but nonetheless, a good victory.
So Forrest Molinari, a new name worth tracking out of Phoenix. Not official yet, but it seemed as though she's going to come away with this W, Schmo.
Seems to be the case. I think she dominated 3 rounds right here. An easy 30-27 on the unofficial Schmo card. as we look at some of these replays right there. Closes the distance, short right hands that land, and she mixes in an elbow. Then she level changes, secures the double leg, dumps her to the ground, and that's where she's able to work her offense.
So Forrest Molinari, the pro debut, is in the rearview mirror. It seems to be successful. And with that, it is off to the races for this featherweight. What the future holds, we don't know. But if any indication from this dominant display, it's going to look like 1-0. Also, if you're listening to the Schmo as well, and the unofficial Schmo card is what he coined it when we were prepping for this show. Forrest Molinari started playing baseball as a kid, then moved over into high school and wanted to play football with her friends. When she went to sign up, her coach, Craig Holden, laughed at her and said she needed to move over to the wrestling mats. We see what happened with that and all the success that she has had, and it seems like the next step and phase in her athletic career is here. With that, let's go to Garrett Fertig.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance in tonight's featured bout, we go now to your judges' scorecards. Your first judge, Chris Flores, sees it 30-27. Adelaide Bird sees it 30-26. And Mike Bell sees it 30-25. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Forrest, the Bear Molinari.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with your winner, Forrest Molinari. 15 girls turned you down. Brigid said yes. You finally got this debut, and you did it how you wanted. You mauled your opponent. How does this feel?
It's kind of surreal, man. It's, we've talked about it for years that I was going to come to MMA, but it's different when it's years away, and now the day's finally come. It's just, I feel like I've been floating all day, but it's an amazing feeling, and I'm so excited to be here and keep putting on shows for you guys.
I know you wanted to finish. I know it's tough to get an opponent. How soon would you like to get back in action?
Hey, if someone's ready next week, I got you. Let's go.
Got all the wrestling accolades in the world. What are your short-term goals right now?
Honestly, I've only been in MMA 6 months now, so right now it's just developing, learning, getting better. We're going to go back and watch this fight. I'm sure there's a lot of things I can fix, but right now it's getting better, and eventually you know what the goal is.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to your winner, Forrest Molinari.